My son stopped me at the hospital entrance just as I stepped out of my car. After I had traveled through the night, his first words cut through the cold air like a knife. "Mom, why did you come? Lena doesn't want anyone here right now." That moment changed everything. 5 days later, a woman from the hospital billing office called me about a $10,300 charge for the baby's delivery. Little did she know, that phone call would become the beginning of the truth unraveling. Hello to everyone watching from around the world. Tell me where you're from in the comments, and tap that like button. To understand what happened, I need to take you back for weeks, to the moment this unbelievable chain of events began. 4 weeks earlier, my daughter-in-law Lena called me one evening, sounding unusually cheerful. "Evelyn, the baby will be here any day now. We want you with us. You'll be the best grandma ever." Her sudden sweetness after 6 years of keeping her distance felt off. Lena had never been warm toward me, not even after marrying my son, Michael. But I was too excited, too ready to finally become a grandmother to question anything. I'm 67 years old. I've waited so long for this moment. When Michael told me about the pregnancy 9 months ago, it became the brightest spot in my life. My home is in Seattle. They live in Miami. 16 hours of non-stop driving. I packed a suitcase full of baby gifts, new clothes, and booked myself into an expensive hotel right next to the hospital. I wanted everything to be perfect. The drive was brutal. My legs ached, my back felt stiff. But every mile brought me closer to finally holding my grandson. I called Michael 3 times during the journey, but each time, Lena answered instead, speaking softly. "Be careful, Evelyn. We can't wait to see you. Everyone's excited." Her voice was so sweet it almost felt rehearsed. When I finally arrived at the hospital, at 3 in the morning, exhausted but happy, a nurse told me Lena was in room 218. My heart was pounding with joy. As I walked down that long hallway, then I saw him. Michael stood outside the delivery room door. Not smiling, not excited, he looked nervous. The moment he spotted me, something in his expression collapsed. Not joy, not relief. Something closer to panic. "Mom, what brings you here?" It felt like being slapped. "What do you mean?" "Lena invited me. She said you both wanted me here." Michael glanced at the delivery room door, then back at me, looking like a man caught between 2 bad choices. "Mom, she changed her mind. She doesn't want visitors. She wants a quiet delivery." "Michael, I drove 16 hours. I'm not asking to go inside. I just want to be close when my grandchild comes into this world." He exhaled with visible relief, too much relief. "Thanks for understanding. Mom, I'll call you as soon as the baby is born. I promise." I walked back to my hotel room carrying a kind of heartbreak I'd never felt before. 9 hours later, Michael finally called. "He's here, Mom, Noah Carter. 7 pounds, 5 ounces. He's perfect." "That's wonderful," I said softly. "When can I meet him?" A long silence. "Mom, Lena is exhausted. Maybe give it a couple of days." A couple of days. After I had crossed the entire country. But what choice did I have? I stayed in that hotel room for 2 more days, eating alone, waiting, watching my phone, while my family welcomed Noah just 4 miles away. Saturday morning came. No updates. No invitation. I drove to the hospital myself, determined at least to see him through the nursery window. But they were gone. Discharged. Home? I called Michael immediately. "You took the baby home without even telling me." "Mom, Lena needed to be in her own space. She's nervous about germs. She doesn't want people around Noah yet." "I'm not people, Michael. I'm your mother. I'm Noah's grandmother." "I know, Mom. Maybe next month. When things calm down." Next month. That was the moment something hardened inside me. I packed my things, got back into my car, and drove the entire 16 hours back home to Seattle. If they wanted distance, they would learn what distance feels like. Monday afternoon, my phone rang. The screen showed *** Miami General Hospital. Mrs. Evelyn Carter. We're calling about a problem with the delivery charges for Noah Carter. The insurance claim was rejected. We need to arrange payment. My heart didn't sink. It lifted. Ma'am, the woman continued, our records show you signed as the financial guarantor for Mrs. Lena Carter's hospital expenses. I froze. I'm sorry, but that's impossible. I didn't sign anything. Our system shows an online signature submitted December 8th at 10:32 p.m. December 8th, the night I was driving through Kansas. When Lena was calling me sweetly, pretending she wanted me near. Ma'am, the representative added. The signature, social security number, and address all match our file. In that instant, everything snapped into place. While I was driving through storms and empty highways to be there for the birth, Lena had been filling out financial documents using my name, my information, my identity. She never wanted me there. She wanted my wallet. Please email me those documents, I said. 25 minutes later, the proof was in front of me. A forged signature, my stolen information, false statements listing me as the maternal grandmother, and all of it submitted while she was pretending to treat me kindly. I called the hospital back immediately. This is fraud, I said. Connect me with your legal department. And that is where everything truly began. Exactly what I needed. While I waited on hold, soft music humming through the phone, I began gathering every piece of evidence I could find. Screenshots of Lena's text messages inviting me to Miami, call logs, photos I had taken during my drive, each stamped with a date and location. I was nowhere near a computer when those forms were supposedly signed by me. A click sounded on the line. Mrs. Carter, this is the legal department. We understand you're questioning the financial responsibility documents submitted under your name. I'm not questioning them, I said firmly. I'm reporting identity theft and fraud. I have proof the signatures are forged. For the next hour, I explained everything, step by step. The invitation to Miami, the sudden coldness, the forged documents, and Lena's false sweetness covering up a calculated plan. The attorneys were especially interested in the contradiction. Lena inviting me across the country while secretly misusing my identity. Mrs. Carter, the representative said, voice now far more serious. This is a significant legal matter. We'll be forwarding everything to law enforcement and our fraud investigation team. For now, all charges assigned to your name are frozen. When the call ended, I sat at my kitchen table staring at my phone. Lena had believed her plan was flawless. Push me away from the birth, enjoy their private family moment, and leave me with a $10,000 bill as a final slap in the face. But what she didn't know? I spent 40 years as a hospital administrator. I knew these systems inside out. I knew she had just committed multiple felonies. My phone buzzed. A message from Michael. Mom, hope your drive home was safe. Lena's feeling better. Noah is such a peaceful baby. We'll send pictures soon. Pictures. After everything they'd done, I typed back politely. Glad everyone is well. Can't wait to meet Noah soon. What I didn't say was that I'd spent the afternoon making sure Lena's fraud was in the hands of professionals who wouldn't ignore it. Sometimes the best revenge is simply letting people face the consequences of what they chose to do. Wednesday morning, another call from Miami General. Mrs. Carter. This is Detective Williams with Miami PD, assigned to investigate the fraud you reported. I'm happy to help in any way. Let's start with the timeline. What events led to the document forgery? For nearly an hour, I walked him through everything: Lena's sudden sweetness, the 16-hour drive, being shut out of the hospital, the forged forms, and my discovery of the fraud. Do you have supporting evidence? He asked. I have text messages, call logs, Photographs with timestamps showing exactly where I was, plus hotel receipts proving I was traveling when the forms were submitted. We'll need copies of everything. Based on what you've described, this is a clear case of identity theft and premeditated fraud. The fact she invited you while simultaneously misusing your identity shows planning. Lena hadn't acted in panic. She had orchestrated the entire thing. What happens now? I asked. We'll obtain court orders for digital records, security footage, and the device used to submit the forms. If the evidence supports your account, Mrs. Carter, your daughter-in-law will be facing multiple felony charges. When the call ended, I felt lighter than I had in days. Not because I wanted Lena jailed, but because someone finally believed me. For once, I wasn't being dismissed, ignored, or told to be understanding. I had been targeted, and the truth was finally being treated like truth. That afternoon, the doorbell rang. A woman in her 40s stood outside holding a thick envelope. Mrs. Evelyn Carter. That's me. I'm Linda Torres, investigator with Miami General Hospital's Fraud Prevention Department. I have documents for you to review. I opened the envelope as she waited. Inside were security camera stills from the hospital's family waiting room. There, in crisp high resolution, sat Lena at a computer, shoulders hunched, typing rapidly into the patient portal. Mrs. Carter, Linda said. These images were taken at 10:47 p.m. on December 8, 15 minutes after the forged documents were submitted. The timestamp matched perfectly. At that moment, I was still 5 hours away, deep in the Georgia mountains, with no cell service and nowhere near a computer. What happens now? I asked. The evidence is conclusive, she said, because this involves identity theft across state lines. It's considered federal fraud. Your daughter-in-law may face serious prison time and substantial fines. When Linda drove away, I sat on my porch, watching the Seattle sunset paint the sky gold. A week ago, I'd been a grandmother excitedly driving across the country to welcome baby Noah. Now, I was a victim of federal fraud committed by my own daughter-in-law. My phone rang. Michael. His voice erupted the moment I answered. Mom, what did you do? The police came to our house. Sarah's been arrested. They said you reported her. I leaned back in my chair, watching a bird cross the yard. I didn't report her. Michael. I reported identity theft. When the hospital called to ask how I wanted to pay the bill your wife stuck me with. Silence. Then, in a much smaller voice, what bill? The $10,000 bill for Noah's birth, I said calmly. The one Lena tried to put in my name, while you two played happy family and shut me out entirely. That's impossible, Michael said. Our insurance covered everything. They told me that. Still so trusting. Still so unaware of the woman he married. Honey, your insurance was denied, I said calmly. That's why the hospital called me. Lena listed me as the financial guarantor for her delivery while I was driving through Kansas. And after she barred me from meeting my grandson, silence. A heavy, suffocating silence. I could feel him slowly connecting the dots. Mom, there has to be some reasonable explanation. Lena wouldn't do that on purpose, would she? The same woman who invited me to drive 16 hours to be at the birth. I said. The same woman who had you blocked me at the hospital entrance. The same woman who hasn't answered a single call since Noah was born. She's been recovering, he said weakly. She just had a baby. Michael, I replied gently. There's security footage of her forging my signature at the hospital. This wasn't confusion. This was fraud. In the background, I heard Lena's voice shrill, frantic. Michael tried to cover the phone, but their whispers weren't quiet enough. I didn't mean it, Thomas Mike. It was a mistake. I thought it was just an emergency contact form. Michael came back on the line. Mom, Lena says this was a misunderstanding. She says she only put you down as an emergency contact, not as the payer. I closed my eyes. Michael, I worked 40 years as a hospital administrator. I know the difference between an emergency contact form and a financial responsibility agreement. Your wife committed fraud. He inhaled sharply. Jesus, Mom. What happens to us now? That depends entirely on Lena, I said. The detective told me if she pays the money back and admits what she did, they might reduce the charges. He didn't respond. And Michael, I added softly, she didn't just steal from me. She humiliated me. She made me drive across states, then refused to let me see my own grandson. And then she tried to make me pay for the privilege. I know, he whispered. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of it. But, criminal charges. She just had a baby. And I just became a grandmother, I replied. That didn't stop her from committing identity theft. I heard Noah crying in the background. My chest tightened. This should have been the happiest time in our lives. Instead, I was talking about felonies and forged documents. What do you want me to do? He finally asked, defeated. I want you to tell me the truth. Was Lena planning to keep me away from the birth all along? The line went quiet. Then, almost inaudibly, yes. The confirmation still hurt. Why, Michael? Why would she do that? She said you'd cause stress. She wanted the birth to be immediate family only. I am immediate family, I said. I'm your mother. I'm Noah's grandmother. I know, I should have stood up to her. I should have told you. Yes, I said quietly. You should have. Suddenly, Lena grabbed the phone. And now, all of it was coming down. Evelyn, please, this is all just a mistake. I never meant for you to be responsible for anything. I was in labor. I was scared. My hormones were everywhere. Lena, I interrupted. You submitted those forms at midnight. While texting me that you couldn't wait for me to get there, you knew exactly what you were doing. Please, Evelyn. We're family. Can't we fix this privately? We stopped being family, I said calmly, when you forged my name. You're going to take Noah's mother away from him. She screamed. Do you want him growing up without me? The manipulation was breathtaking. I want Noah to grow up with honest parents, I replied. If that's not possible, that's not my doing. I'll pay the bill, she cried. I'll do anything. Just make the charges go away. I can't, I said. I didn't file the charges. The hospital did. The police are acting because you committed a crime. Michael came back on. Mom, Lena's lawyer says if you don't cooperate with the prosecution, the charges will probably be dropped. Please, just don't testify. Don't give them evidence. I closed my eyes. I thought of all the years I had supported my son. Tuition, car loans, emergencies. Every sacrifice I made so he could build the life he wanted. And now he was asking me to cover for someone who had destroyed my dignity, stolen my identity, and tried to make me pay for it. Michael, I said quietly, your wife committed multiple crimes against me. You want me to lie to protect her? But family does not do what she did. So that's it, he said bitterly. You're going to send Noah's mother to prison? I'm going to tell the truth, I said. What happens after that is up to the court. I hung up. The phone rang again and again, his name flashing on the screen, but I shut it off. Tomorrow I had a meeting with the FBI agent assigned to the case, and I knew things were about to get far worse than Michael expected, because what I hadn't told him yet was the one thing that would shatter everything. The investigation had uncovered this wasn't Lena's first time doing something like this, not even close. She had committed similar frauds against 4 other family members in the past 3 years. Lena Carter wasn't a panicked new mother. She was a serial fraudster, and my case was just the beginning. FBI meeting. Agent Maria Lopez sat across from me, her voice steady and practiced. Mrs. Carter, what we've found is extensive. You need to be prepared. I nodded. I already sensed the truth. How bad is it? I asked. Agent Lopez opened a thick folder. Over the past 42 months, Lena Carter has committed identity theft and fraud against no fewer than 7 family members across 5 states. Total damages exceed $52,000. I felt sick. 7 victims, 5 states, 3 years. Your case, she continued, broke everything wide open. The pattern is clear. She collects personal information from relatives, then uses it to open credit cards, take out loans, or shift medical bills into their names. She handed me documents. Michael's younger brother had $9,000 in unauthorized credit charges. Lena's own sister had a $6,000 dental bill she never incurred. A cousin in Texas had a $15,000 car loan opened in her name. How did no one notice? I asked. They did, Agent Lopez said. But Lena was skilled at creating excuses, clerical errors, bank mistakes, temporary financial issues. She'd even send partial payments to appear responsible. Then Agent Lopez slid another document toward me. Your grandson's birth was her most elaborate scheme. She built an entire narrative around you. You volunteered to cover all expenses as a gift, and that you were thrilled to do it. I felt my heartbeat in my throat. Not only had Lena kept me away from Noah's birth, she had crafted a fake story portraying me as an eager, wealthy grandmother desperate to pay for everything. She had rewritten my identity to serve her crime. That's why they called you so confidently about payment plans, Agent Lopez said. Meanwhile, she was deliberately keeping you from meeting your grandson. That's exactly what she did, I replied bitterly. She punished me emotionally while trying to trap me financially. Agent Lopez nodded, her expression tightening. Mrs. Carter, that is precisely why prosecutors consider this case uniquely disturbing. It's not just theft. It's psychological manipulation targeted to cause maximum emotional harm. She closed the file on the table and looked directly at me. You must understand something. Lena's crimes weren't impulsive or driven by stress. This was a calculated pattern spanning years. She has stolen from people who trusted her, destroyed relationships, and shown zero remorse until law enforcement stepped in. I swallowed hard. What happens to her now? She faces federal charges carrying 18 to 25 years in prison. In addition, state identity theft charges could add approximately 6 to 12 more years, 7 victims across several states. With documented planning, prosecutors treat this extremely seriously. My phone had been exploding all morning. Michael calling every hour. Lena's mother calling from Boston. Even Michael's brother in Oregon. I ignored all of them. Agent Lopez, I said, one question keeps bothering me. How did Lena get so much personal information about so many people? Social media, she replied immediately. Family Facebook groups, public anniversary posts, shared birthdays, travel photos. People post their full names, their kids' names, dates, cities. She gave a tired sigh. Lena used all that information to answer security questions. She used family connections as her toolbox. I felt sick. We had handed her the keys to our identities without suspecting a thing. The calls began. After Agent Lopez left, I remained in my kitchen staring at my phone. Asterisk, 28 missed calls. 19 texts. Suddenly, everyone wanted to talk, all calling it a misunderstanding. I decided to call Michael, my nephew from Oregon, first. Aunt Evelyn. Thank God. Thomas told me what's going on. This whole thing is insane. Michael, I said quietly. Agent Lopez told me Lena stole from you too. $9,000 in your name. Silence. Utter silence. How? How did you know that happened to me? Because we are all victims of the same person, sweetheart. He exhaled shakily. She told me it was a mistake. That she used my info instead of hers. Applying for a store credit card. She was crying, embarrassed, apologizing. She even made a few payments. Of course she did. To stop you from reporting it. When I pushed further, he whispered, "She told me I was trying to destroy her family." Thomas defended her. He said I was attacking her over a clerical error. "No, Michael," I said gently. "It wasn't a clerical error. It was identity theft. And it wasn't just you." I spent 40 minutes explaining everything: the victims, the timeline, the multi-state fraud. By the end of the call, he was sobbing. "I feel so stupid." "You trusted family," I told him. "That's not stupid. That's human." "What will you do now?" he whispered. "I'll testify. Truthfully. What Lena did has consequences." Thomas shows up. That evening, Thomas appeared at my door unexpectedly, exhausted, unshaven, holding baby Noah against his chest like he was shielding himself with him. "Mom," he said weakly, "we need to talk." But my eyes went straight to Noah. My first time seeing him. My grandson. Perfect, tiny, sleeping peacefully. It should have been the happiest moment of my life. "He's beautiful," I whispered. "Mom, please." Lena's looking at 25 years. Noah needs his mother. Noah needs honest parents. "Thomas, she's not a monster," he insisted. She panics. She grew up without money. She's terrified of not being secure. "Thomas," I said softly, "she stole from 7 family members over 3 years. That's not fear. That's a pattern." He swallowed hard. "Please don't testify. Without you, the case falls apart." I held my grandson, warm and perfect, and my heart cracked. "Thomas," I said gently, "tell me the truth. Did you know what she was doing to others?" "I swear I didn't know," he said quickly. "But you knew she was keeping me away from the birth." A long pause. "Yes," he whispered. "I knew, and I'm sorry. I should have stopped it. You chose her lies over me. You chose silence instead of protecting your own mother. I love you, Mom, but she's my wife. And the mother of my child. And I'm your mother," I replied. "A woman she stole from." He blinked hard. "What happens to Noah if she goes to prison?" "I can't afford childcare. I can barely pay the mortgage." There it was. The real reason for his sudden concern. He wasn't asking me to forgive Lena. He was asking me to save her so I could end up taking care of Noah. "That's something you should have considered," I said. "Before marrying a criminal." I handed Noah back and opened the door. "Mom, please, don't do this." "Good night, Thomas," I said. "Give Noah a kiss for me." The door closed between us, maybe permanently. Some truths are worth standing alone for. Federal court. Rain slicked the steps of the federal courthouse in Seattle as I walked toward the tall building for Lena's preliminary hearing. Because Lena's crimes crossed state lines, the case was officially federal, not local. I didn't have to be there. Witnesses weren't being called yet, but I wanted to see her face when the charges were read aloud. The courtroom was nearly empty. Lena sat at the defendant's table in an orange jumpsuit, wrists cuffed, looking small, nothing like the confident woman who had manipulated me so easily. Thomas sat in the front row with baby Noah, surrounded by Lena's parents. None of them looked at me. The clerk called out, "United States versus Lena Marie Carter, Case 2024, CA-R2, 153. The federal prosecutors stood with a folder so thick it hardly closed. "Your Honor," she began, "the defendant is charged with 7 counts of identity theft, 5 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of mail fraud, and 1 count of interstate conspiracy to commit fraud. Over 42 months, the defendant systematically targeted family members, stealing over $52,000. The judge studied Lena coldly. "Ms. Carter," he said, "are you represented by counsel today?" Her attorney rose, overwhelmed and nervous. "Yes, Your Honor." Lena didn't look at me. Not once. "Rebecca Chen, representing the defendant." The attorney rose and adjusted her blazer. "Miss Chen," Judge Morrison asked, Has your client been fully informed of all charges? She has, Your Honor. We enter a plea of not guilty to all charges. A wave of disbelief washed over me. Not guilty. Even with video evidence. Even with documents. Even with 7 victims. But of course, Lena had never taken responsibility for anything in her life. Prosecutor Rodriguez stood again. Your Honor, the government requests the defendant remain in custody without bail. Ms. Carter has demonstrated repeated deceptive behavior toward family members. Several victims report receiving threatening communications since her arrest. Threatening communications. I wondered if that included the 18 voicemails Lena had left me, half sobbing, half accusing me of destroying her life. Miss Chen responded sharply. Your Honor, my client is a new mother She has no prior criminal record and strong community ties. She is not a flight risk. We request release on her own Prosecutor Rodriguez didn't miss a beat. Your Honor, the defendant committed identity theft across 5 states, targeting family members, defrauding them of over $52,000. The deception toward victim. Evelyn Carter involved elaborate, emotional manipulation, and falsified documents. Judge Morrison finally looked directly at Lena. Ms. Carter, you defrauded your husband's mother. Yes. It was a misunderstanding, Your Honor. She rushed out. I never intended. You forged her signature while she was driving across the country at your invitation, correct? Lena's attorney touched her arm, but Lena kept talking. I was in labor, Your Honor. I wasn't thinking clearly. I needed someone to take financial responsibility, and Evelyn has money. She wouldn't have minded. The judge raised a hand. You also barred her from your son's birth after she drove 16 hours to attend. That was medical, she stammered. My doctor. Ms. Carter, he snapped. You are making your situation worse. Miss Chen grabbed Lena's hand, whispering urgently. After reviewing the file, the judge spoke. Given the pattern of criminal behavior, the sophistication, the duration, and the defendant's inability to acknowledge wrongdoing, bail is denied. Ms. Carter will remain in federal custody pending trial. Lena burst into tears, loud, dramatic, performative. I'd seen that act 100 times. Thomas stood up suddenly. Your Honor, please. She just had a baby. Noah needs his mother. Sit down, Mr. Carter, the judge ordered firmly. One more outburst and I will hold you in contempt. Thomas sank back down, clutching Noah tightly. Lena's mother sobbed openly. Her father stared ahead. Expression hollow, as if seeing the truth for the first time. As officers led Lena away, she turned and locked eyes with me. Gone was the pleading, the fake remorse, the theatrics. What stared back at me was pure hatred, Outside the court. I stepped outside and sat on a bench. Across the street, Thomas and Lena's family spoke in frantic whispers. Finally, Lena's parents walked away without even looking at their son or grandson. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I hope you're proud. You destroyed my daughter's life. Lena's mother. I deleted it. Another text immediately followed. Oliver will grow up without a mother because of your selfishness. I powered my phone off. Selfishness? That word echoed inside me. Was it selfish to report a crime? Was it selfish to protect myself from identity theft? Was it selfish to refuse to let a criminal walk free? Or was it selfish to invite your mother-in-law across the country, shut her out of the hospital, forge her signature, and then beg for mercy once caught? The agent's call. That evening, Agent Lopez phoned. Mrs. Carter, I wanted to update you. Lena's attorney has requested a plea deal to avoid trial. What kind of deal? Full restitution to all victims. Guilty pleas to reduced charges, and a recommended sentence of 6 years eligible for parole after 4. and your opinion. If she doesn't take the deal and this goes to trial, she's looking at 25 years minimum. But all victims must agree for the plea to stand. What happens next? The prosecutor presents the offer to all 7 victims. If everyone accepts it, the plea moves forward. If even one victim rejects it, we proceed to a full trial. After hanging up, I walked slowly around my home. This wasn't just about money. This wasn't even about me anymore. Lena had used family trust as a weapon. She'd targeted vulnerable relatives. She'd manipulated her way into people's lives and bank accounts. And she'd shown no remorse, only desperation. But she was also Noah's mother. And Thomas wasn't strong enough to raise him alone. My phone rang again. Thomas. Mom, did Agent Lopez tell you about the plea? She did. Please accept it. Please. 6 years is already forever. Noah will be in first grade when she gets out. Thomas, your wife committed federal crimes against 7 people. 4 years in prison is a light sentence. But this isn't just about her. It's about our family. Thomas, I said quietly. Our family ended the moment Lena used my name for fraud. Everything since then is just the wreckage. He said nothing. I ended the call. The decision, the deadline to respond to the plea offer was Monday. I had 4 days to decide between mercy and justice. By Monday morning, I knew the answer. I rejected the plea. And by Monday afternoon, my instinct was proven right. Lena's attorney called me personally. Mrs. Carter. This is Rebecca Chen. I understand you have concerns about the plea. I was in my garden, pulling weeds. Miss Chen, I have concerns about your client being a career criminal. I understand, but you must consider the effect of a lengthy trial, media attention, family stress, your grandson. There it was again, trying to make me responsible for the consequences of Lena's choices. Miss Chen, I said calmly, my grandson's well-being should have mattered too. Lena before she became a fraudster. Her voice softened. Mrs. Carter, I think there may be information that could change your perspective on this case. I stopped pulling weeds. Something in her tone chilled me. What kind of information are you talking about? I asked. There are complications, Attorney Rebecca Chen replied. Things the prosecutor may not have fully explained. It would be better to speak in person. 3 hours later, I was sitting across from her in a sleek downtown Seattle office. She looked nervous for someone who did this for a living. Her fingers kept adjusting her glasses, her eyes rarely meeting mine. Mrs. Carter, she began, what I'm about to share is confidential attorney-client information. My client, Lena, has authorized me to tell you this in hopes of reaching some sort of resolution. I'm listening, I said. Lena's crimes weren't entirely her own idea, Chen said carefully. She was being pressured, coerced. I almost laughed. Coerced? By who, exactly? Her former partner. Before she met your son, she was in a relationship with a man named Derek Stone. She opened a file folder and slid a document slightly toward me. Derek Stone is a professional con artist. He has a history of complex fraud operations across the country. He taught Lena identity theft techniques and has been forcing her to continue committing fraud. Even after she married Thomas. Forcing her, how? I asked sharply. Blackmail, Chen replied. Threats. Derek has compromising information about Lena's past. Information that would destroy her marriage and her relationship with your entire family. I stared at her. So Lena stole from 7 members of my family because her ex told her to. Essentially, yes. She's been sending him half of everything she stole to keep him from revealing her past to Thomas. My stomach tightened. What past? Chen hesitated, then exhaled. Before she ever met Thomas, Lena had a criminal record in California. Identity theft, fraud, several counts. She served 22 months in prison before moving to Washington and reinventing herself. The room felt like it tilted under me. Thomas doesn't know any of this, does he? No, Chen said softly. No one in your family does. When she got out, she changed her name, moved states, and built an entirely new identity. When she met Thomas, she introduced herself as the woman you know today. And Derek found her again. Yes, he threatened to expose her real identity to you, to Thomas, to everyone. He's been extorting her ever since. I leaned back, my mind racing. My daughter-in-law wasn't just a scared new mother who'd made bad choices. She was a repeat offender who had lied about who she was from the very beginning. And why? I asked slowly. Are you telling me all this, Miss Chen? Because Lena is terrified this will come out at trial. She's more afraid of Thomas learning the truth than she is of prison. She's hoping that if you understand what Derek did to her, you might reconsider your position. You think this is supposed to make me feel sorry for her? I think it explains her actions, Chen insisted. She isn't the mastermind. She's also a victim. I stood up, picking up my purse. Let me make sure I understand, Miss Chen, I said. Your client is a convicted felon who lied about her entire identity, married my son under false pretenses, then committed federal crimes against his family while sending half the money to her criminal ex-husband and, that is, your sympathy pitch. Mrs. Carter, please. The only thing you've done, I said, is convince me she's far more dangerous than I realized. My son has been living with a stranger for 6 years. Please don't tell Thomas, Chen blurted out, panic in her eyes. What I just shared is privileged. If you reveal it, that's a violation of... You shared it, hoping I'd soften. Instead, I'm now more certain than ever, trial is the right path. I walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and Miss Chen, make sure the prosecutor knows about Derek Stone. If Lena's been sending stolen funds to a known criminal, that's yet another federal crime on top of everything else. Mrs. Carter, please listen. Good day, Miss Chen. I left without another word. The call that broke everything. I drove home in a daze. Lena wasn't just dishonest. She was a career criminal who had infiltrated my family under a false name. When I walked into my house, my phone was already ringing. Thomas's name lit up the screen. Mom, he said, his voice tight. Lena's attorney said you met with her. She said you're still refusing the plea deal. That's right, I replied. How is 6 years in prison not enough? She already agreed to plead guilty and pay restitution. What more do you want? I stared at a framed photo on my wall. Thomas in his cap and gown, smiling up at me on his college graduation day, back when I thought I understood who my family was. Thomas, I asked quietly, did Lena ever really tell you about her life before Washington? Of course she did, he said. She grew up in California, went to college there, worked customer service jobs. Why? Did she ever mention having a serious relationship before you? Silence. Mom, what are you talking about? Did she ever mention having a criminal record in California? Mom, what the hell is going on? Sit down, I said. And if you can, find someone to watch Noah while we talk. Just tell me. I took a long breath. Thomas, your wife served 22 months in prison in California for identity theft and fraud before she moved to Washington and met you. He laughed once. A disbelieving, broken sound. That's impossible. I would have known. She changed her name, Thomas, I said softly. Her attorney told me today. Lena Carter is not her real name at all. The phone went very quiet. I could hear Noah fussing in the background. And Thomas, whispering to calm him before returning to the call. Mom, how do you know this is real? How do you know? She's been being blackmailed by her ex, a man named Derek Stone, a criminal. She's been stealing from us and sending him half the money to keep him quiet about her past and her real identity. I heard movement. Thomas walking, maybe shutting a door, needing privacy. Are you absolutely sure? He whispered. Her attorney told me directly. She's been lying to you since the day you met, but I've met her parents. I've talked to her sister. They visited. Did you verify any of it, Thomas? Or did you just accept whoever she introduced as family, without asking questions? There was another long silence. I could almost hear the foundation of his life cracking. Mom, what am I supposed to do with this? You protect yourself. And you protect Noah, immediately. If she's been living under a false identity, there could be serious financial and legal consequences. You don't even know about, like what? What else could there be? Shared finances, debts, legal status, even the validity of your marriage, I said gently. You don't know what else she's done in your name. I need to confront her, he said. I need answers from her. She's in federal custody, Thomas. You don't get to just show up and demand explanations. Then I'll hire my own lawyer. I need someone looking out for me and Noah. That's exactly what you should do. He exhaled, a broken sound. If this is all true, then Noah and I are just as much victims as you are. Yes, I said quietly. You are. She used me to keep you away from the birth, he whispered. She made me choose between you and her when I should have been protecting you from her. You couldn't have known. But I should have seen something, he insisted. The way she reacted when you wanted to visit, I should have realized it wasn't normal. I heard the devastation in his voice. He needed the full truth, even if it shattered him. There's something else you need to know, Thomas. What else could there possibly be? According to her attorney, Lena is more afraid of you finding out who she really is than she is of spending decades in prison. She would rather go away for years than have you see the person behind the mask. Silence. Mom, he said finally, if she's been sending money to Derek, what else has she lied about? Our finances, our marriage, Noah. He couldn't say it. I know you don't want to think about it, I said softly. But you have to consider every possibility, and you have to protect yourself and your son from whatever else might still come out. After we hung up, I sat in my quiet house, thinking about everyone Lena had harmed, not just the 7 family members on paper. Thomas, who had married a ghost. Noah, born into a web of lies. Even the so-called family members who helped her uphold her fake story. The final reveal. My phone rang again. This time, it was Agent Lopez. Mrs. Carter, I wanted to update you on a new development. Lena has started cooperating. In what way? I asked. She's providing detailed information on Derek Stone, her ex. According to her, he's been running similar blackmail schemes across the western United States. She's agreed to hand over financial records, messages, details on his other victims in exchange for consideration at sentencing. If her information helps catch him, what does that mean for her sentence? It could reduce it significantly, Lopez said. Judges often reward cooperation that leads to larger arrests. I hesitated, then asked the question that had been haunting me. Agent Lopez, did you know about her criminal record in California? Yes, she answered. We uncovered it during the investigation. Lena Carter isn't her legal name. I closed my eyes. What is her real name? Jennifer Stone, Lopez said. She was married to Derek when she committed her first set of frauds in California. Part of her plea deal back then involved testifying against him. He walked on a technicality. She served time. Then she vanished and reappeared as Lena. Jennifer Stone. My daughter-in-law's real name was Jennifer. And I had never once known the real woman standing in my house all those years. Agent Lopez, I asked quietly, what happens to my son legally? If his wife has been living under a false identity, is their marriage even valid? That's a complex issue, she said. It depends on Washington state law and how the marriage license was filed. He definitely needs a family law attorney. And my grandson, Oliver's, Noah should be fine in terms of paternity and parental status, she said. But there may be birth certificate amendments and guardianship issues to sort out. Again, your son needs legal representation. After we ended the call, I stood in the middle of my living room and realized something. Lena hadn't just committed fraud against banks and relatives. She'd committed fraud against time, identity, and reality itself. And the damage she'd left behind would take years, maybe decades, to fully untangle. If you want, I can now. Thomas's entire life had become a legal question mark. His marriage might not be valid. Noah's birth certificate might contain lies. Their finances could be riddled with fraud and hidden debts. Everything he thought was solid had been built on sand. That night, around 9 p.m., my doorbell rang. Through the small window, I saw Thomas on the porch, holding Noah on one arm and a large overnight bag in the other. I opened the door. "Thomas, what are you doing here this late?" He looked exhausted, hollow. "Mom, can Noah and I stay here tonight? I can't be in that house. Every room reminds me of her lies." I pulled them both into the biggest hug I'd given in years. "Of course you can," I said. "You can stay as long as you need." As we settled Noah into the guest room crib, it hit me. Lena Jennifer had tried to isolate and break us. Instead, she'd pushed Thomas and me closer than we'd been in a long time. But I also knew this wasn't over. If Jennifer Stone had lived under a false identity for 6 years, there were likely other secrets buried in the dark. Maybe ones that could still threaten my son and grandson. The trial begins. The trial of Jennifer Stone, aka Lena Carter, began on a cold Monday morning in March. Outside the federal courthouse in Seattle, news vans lined the street. Reporters clustered near the steps, microphones ready, camera lights cutting through the gray. Agent Lopez had warned me it would be like this. "Family fraud cases always get attention," she'd said. "People can't look away when someone betrays their own family." Thomas and I arrived together, having left Noah with my neighbor, Mrs. Anderson. He'd been living with me for 4 weeks now. We'd fallen into a quiet routine. He fed Noah in the early mornings while I made coffee. We'd share breakfast, talk about what might happen in court that day, then drive downtown side by side. "Are you ready for this?" he asked as we walked up the courthouse steps. "Are you ready?" I asked back. He shook his head. "I still can't believe I was married to someone whose real name I didn't even know for 6 years." His attorney had confirmed their marriage was legally valid, despite her false identity, but emotionally, it felt like an annulment of his entire past. He'd also learned that Jennifer had lied about everything. Her childhood, her education, her parents in Boston. Fake, all of it. "Mom," he said quietly, "every story she ever told me, every memory she shared, all of it was fiction." "You couldn't have known," I said. "She did this professionally. She made a career out of pretending." Inside, the courtroom was packed, not just with the 7 known victim families, but with reporters, law enforcement, and a few people who looked like they might be additional victims who had only realized the truth after the news broke. Jennifer sat at the defense table in a navy dress, hair pulled into a tight bun. She looked smaller, diminished, older than her 34 years. "All rise for the Honorable Judge Christopher Bennett." The room stood. The story the jury heard. Prosecutor Amanda Rodriguez wasted no time. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," she began, "the defendant is not who she claims to be. For 9 years, Jennifer Stone has lived under a false identity, committing identity theft across multiple states and destroying the lives of people who trusted her completely." She walked them through the timeline. Arrested in California in 2014, 22 months in prison for fraud and identity theft, release, disappearance, reinvention, as Lena Harrison, carefully constructing a fake background and moving to Washington. "The defendant didn't just steal money," Rodriguez said. "She stole trust. She stole family bonds. She stole people's sense of safety in their own relationships." Rebecca Chen, Jennifer's attorney, tried to spin a different narrative. "My client made serious mistakes," she told the jury, "but she was driven by fear, blackmail, and coercion. Her ex-husband, Derek Stone is a dangerous criminal who threatened her repeatedly. She didn't act alone. She acted under pressure. It sounded polished, professional. But the next day, on cross-examination, that story fell apart, piece by piece, destroying the victim narrative. Ms. Stone, Rodriguez began. You testified that Derek forced you to steal from your husband's family, correct? Yes, Jennifer said. He threatened to tell Thomas about my past if I didn't send him money. Right. But you were already stealing from family members before Derek resurfaced, weren't you? Jennifer shifted in her seat. I don't know what you mean. I'm referring to the credit cards you opened in Thomas's brother Michael's name, Rodriguez said. That was in February 2022. But according to your own testimony, Derek didn't contact you again until May of that year. Jennifer went pale. That's different. That was a mistake. A mistake. Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. You opened 5 credit cards, charged $9,000, and made no payments for 7 months. Jennifer stared at the table. I was going to pay it back, she whispered. Just like you were going to pay back the $10,000 hospital bill you pushed onto Evelyn Carter. Rodriguez asked. Also a mistake. I was in labor. I wasn't thinking clearly. Rodriguez pulled out a document. This is a transcript of your call with Evelyn Carter 4 days before you gave birth. You invited her to drive 16 hours from Seattle to Miami. Did Derek force you to make that call? No. Did Derek force you to exclude her from the hospital once she arrived? No. Did Derek force you to forge her signature on hospital documents while she was literally on the road trying to reach you? Jennifer swallowed. No, but you don't understand the pressure I was under. Rodriguez stepped closer. Ms. Stone, isn't it true you researched Evelyn Carter's finances weeks before you invited her? Jennifer froze. We have records, Rodriguez continued, that you accessed her credit reports and bank accounts 3 weeks before Noah was born. Did Derek force you to do that research? No, Jennifer whispered. So you planned to defraud her before you ever invited her? I thought she could afford it, Jennifer muttered. She has money. Rodriguez nodded slowly. So you specifically targeted your husband's mother because you believed her love for her family and her sake. Her an easy mark. Jennifer began to cry, but to me, the tears looked familiar. Strategic, performed. You don't understand what it's like to be scared all the time, Jennifer said. Scared to be honest about who you are? Scared to tell the truth about your past, Rodriguez replied. Scared to get a real job and pay your own bills instead of stealing. It's not that simple, Jennifer protested. Ms. Stone, Rodriguez said calmly. You stole from 7 family members over 3 years. You lived under a false identity. You invited your mother-in-law across states just to humiliate and exploit her. Are you asking this jury to believe fear made you do all that? Yes, Jennifer said. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Rodriguez turned to the jury. Fear of honesty is not a legal defense for federal crimes. As Jennifer stepped down, she glanced at me. There was no shame in her eyes. Just raw, focused hatred. The past catches up. On Friday of the second week, Rodriguez called a witness I hadn't expected. Detective Sarah Kim from the California State Police. She testified about the 2014 case. A multi-state identity theft ring. 12 defendants. Over $300,000 in fraudulent charges. Derek and Jennifer Stone at the center of it. Derek recruited vulnerable women, Detective Kim explained. He trained them to gain people's trust and steal their information. Jennifer was his most effective partner. What made her so effective? Rodriguez asked. She was good at reading people, Kim said. Charming, empathetic. She'd befriend elderly women, single mothers, people in crisis. She made herself indispensable while collecting everything she needed to rob them blind. She listed 19 victims from that earlier case. 19 people. over $112,000 in losses. I'd thought our family was the start of her career. We were just another chapter. What happened to Derek? Rodriguez asked. He was acquitted, Kim said. Jennifer cut a deal and testified against him. But we always suspected she lied to protect him. Our surveillance showed them back together after she got out. They never really parted. Rodriguez turned to the jury. So the divorce that Jennifer described was staged, Kim said, to help her disappear and build a new identity. Thomas squeezed my hand. His marriage hadn't just been based on lies. It had never truly existed at all. A bigger operation. At lunch, Thomas and I sat in the courthouse cafeteria. "Mom," he said blankly, "if Jennifer was still married to Derek, then legally, my marriage is invalid. And Noah?" He struggled with the words. "What if the law says Derek is his father?" I hadn't allowed myself to think that far. "We'll fix it," I told him firmly. "No matter what the paperwork says, you are Noah's father. We'll get legal help. We'll make sure the law reflects the truth." "But what if Derek uses Noah against us?" Thomas whispered. "For leverage. For money?" Before I could answer, Agent Lopez walked over. "Mr. Carter, Mrs. Carter, can we speak privately?" We followed her into a small conference room. "We've just received new information," she said. "Derek Stone has been arrested in Portland. He was running a similar scheme, placing women in relationships with well-off men and having them infiltrate their families for profit." Thomas went white. "So, Jennifer wasn't the only one," I said. "No," Lopez replied. "We've identified at least 9 women across 6 states. Jennifer was one of Derek's best assets." I swallowed. "Agent Lopez, are you saying Jennifer targeted Thomas on purpose?" "That's exactly what I'm saying," she answered. "We found detailed profiles of your family in Derek's files. He identified Thomas as an ideal target, steady income, emotionally open, close to family. And you, Mrs. Carter, were listed as a high-value secondary target. Due to your savings and strong attachment to family bonds, my skin went cold. We weren't unlucky. We were chosen. There's more," Lopez added. "Jennifer and Derek had plans involving Noah." "What plans?" Thomas asked, barely breathing. "They intended to disappear with him," she said. "To use him for extortion." "Extortion?" I whispered. "How?" "Kidnapping for ransom," Lopez said. "We found a plan to take Noah and demand $700,000 from your family. They'd researched your assets in detail." Thomas stared at her in horror. "They were going to kidnap my son and make my mother pay to get him back." The worst part? It got worse. In Derek's notes, Lopez continued, there were plans for staged deaths. Jennifer was supposed to fake her death and Noah's death in a car accident, then disappear with Derek and your son. I couldn't breathe. "Fake their deaths," I repeated. "Yes," she said. "They'd then collect life insurance policies Jennifer had taken out on herself and Noah. The premiums were paid using money stolen from your family." My hand flew to my mouth. "Agent Lopez," Thomas whispered, "they were going to let me think my wife and child were dead." "Yes," she replied, "while they lived somewhere else with Noah and your money." "And what about me?" he asked. "Was I part of their plan?" Lopez hesitated. "Derek's notes suggest that if you became suspicious or interfered, your death would be made to look accidental." I grabbed Thomas's arm, feeling dizzy. If I hadn't reported that hospital bill, if I had just paid it quietly, my son might be dead. My grandson gone, and I'd be wiring money to criminals just to hear Noah's voice. The final blow. Back in court, Agent Lopez took the stand and explained Derek's family infiltration operation, how he'd spent 3 years researching us before Jennifer ever accidentally met Thomas. She explained the staged death plans, the life insurance policies, the intention to raise Noah as part of their criminal network. When she finished, Rodriguez turned to Jennifer. "Ms. Stone, Do you still claim you were a victim in all of this? Jennifer, pale and silent until then, looked up with eyes like ice. No, she said quietly. I don't. Do you have anything to say to the Carter family? Rodriguez asked. Her attorney tried to stop her, but Jennifer stood. Yes, I do. She turned to Thomas and me. You all think you're so noble, she sneered. So loving, so strong. But you're just marks. Easy targets, who deserved what happened. Ms. Stone, sit down, Judge Bennett warned. Thomas, she continued, ignoring him, you were pathetic. So desperate to be loved, you never questioned a single thing. You practically begged to be used. Thomas's face went white, but he didn't look away. And you, Evelyn, she spat my name like poison, you were perfect. A lonely old woman with money who would do anything to feel needed. You were a dream, Mark. Ms. Stone, that's enough, Judge Bennett said sharply. Sit down or you'll be removed. The only thing I regret, Jennifer continued, voice rising, is getting caught before we finished. You have no idea how satisfying it would have been watching Thomas grieve over our deaths, while I lived somewhere else with Noah and every penny you had. Court officers moved toward her. Noah would have grown up just like me, she said, eyes gleaming. Smart, ruthless, not sentimental about family. He would have been perfect for this work. Remove the defendant from the courtroom, the judge ordered. As they dragged her away, she twisted back toward us. You may have won this round, Evelyn, she shouted, but there are others like me out there. You'll never feel safe again. The room stayed silent for a long moment after the door closed behind her. Everyone had just seen the real Jennifer Stone. No more defenses, no more excuses, just unmasked cruelty. The verdict. The jury took less than 4 hours. When they returned, the foreman stood. On all counts of identity theft, fraud, conspiracy, and kidnapping conspiracy, he said. We find the defendant guilty. Judge Bennett thanked the jury, then turned to Jennifer's empty chair. Given the scale of the defendant's crimes, the pattern of calculated deception, the intended harm, and the danger she poses to society, he said, this court sentences Jennifer Stone to 30 years in federal prison without the possibility of parole. 30 years. Not enough to fix what she'd broken, but enough to make sure she'd never hurt us again. Aftermath. As we left the courthouse, Thomas carried Noah against his chest. My grandson's head rested on his father's shoulder, completely unaware that his mother had once planned to kidnap him, fake his death, and train him to be a criminal. Mom, Thomas said quietly as we walked toward the car. I don't know how to thank you. For what? I asked. For saying no, he said. For refusing to just pay the bill and pretend nothing happened. If you had let it go, Noah and I might be dead by now. You saved us. I looked at him, then at Noah, who had started babbling softly, reaching for my necklace. The only thing Jennifer was right about, I said slowly, is that there are others like her out there. Thomas glanced at me nervously. But she was wrong about one thing, I added. What's that, Mom? I'm not going to live in fear, I said. Not anymore. Now I know exactly what predators look like. I know how they operate, and I know I am strong enough to fight them. As we drove home through the Seattle sunset, Noah chattered happily in his car seat, kicking his little feet. I realized something then. Jennifer Stone had given me a gift she never intended to give. She showed me my own strength. If anyone ever tried to target my family again, they wouldn't be dealing with a naive, lonely grandmother desperate to be included. They'd be dealing with a woman who had walked through hell, fought back and won.